Today is the feast of Jesus Christ, King of the universe. I would like to share with you some reflections about this feast, about Jesus Christ as King. The ancient Romans had a practice. Whenever they would occupy a given territory, like they occupied Palestine at the time that Christ walked the earth, and they would convict people of capital crimes, and then they would execute them. And the way that they would execute them would be sometimes on a crucifix, on a cross, and above their head they would put a sign. And the sign would be their sentence. In other words, what crime they were being executed for. The reason that they would do that is they would put these crosses with these condemned prisoners along the streets that people would walk and ride on, horses, chariots, whatever, wagons. And they would put these crucifixes and they would line these main streets. And it would frighten the local people. It would terrify them because they would look at these people who were hung up to die, and above their heads there would be crimes. For example, robbery, insurrection, murder, whatever. And it would terrify the local people, and they would be intimidated into submission to the Romans because they didn't want that to happen to them. When Christ was crucified, they did the same thing. He was convicted of a crime, and above his head was the crime, was the sentence. And if you look at this beautiful crucifix right here, you see up there, it's got four Latin letters, INRI. The I, well, in Latin there is no J, so things that would start with a J start with I. So the first is I, Jesus, N is Nazareth. Next R, the word for king in Latin is Rex. So it's Jesus of Nazareth, King, and then the last I is Jews. That's why they killed him, because he was king, Now this sentence, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews, was put above his head in 3 languages. It was put there in Latin, and in Greek, and in Hebrew. And this is the way it would have been for all those criminals who were executed, because those were the 3 primary languages which were spoken in Jerusalem at the time that Christ walked the earth. And if you remember from your own study of the Bible, on either side of Christ there was a criminal who was crucified. On either side of him. They did that to humiliate him. And so above the head of each of those criminals, above their head would have been their sentence. We don't know exactly what they were crucified for or what their sentence said, but it probably would have said something like this: rebellion, murder, theft, something like that. So that's what they were crucified for. That was the capital crime that they were crucified for by the Romans. But Jesus was crucified because he was king.